Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. After a bit of a downturn yesterday, we are starting today off with a beautiful recovery in the crypto markets, once again led by XRP. For the third time in about a week, we see a recovery led by XRP, which is up just about 16%, 15.98%, while all the other top 10 tokens are up between 0.07 and about 3%. So XRP leading once again, closing its distance to Ethereum for the number 2 token. There's now less than 1 billion between their market caps. That is less than 5% difference. If this continues for a couple hours, we may just see XRP get the number 2 spot again. This is looking very beautiful. I was slightly worried yesterday that we might be seeing a reversal, that we might be going into a bear market. Now, we were already in a bear market, but you know what I meant. I was slightly worried yesterday, not long term, but short and mid term. But now it's looking a lot more positive. Most importantly, XRP safely above 50 cents, Ethereum still safely above $200, and EOS safely above $5. Those are the big numbers I've been looking for recently. The market cap as a whole recovered significantly. It scratched 200 yesterday, but now it's back up at 212. Most of this recovery seems to have just been XRP alone. I believe XRP has recovered around 3 billion in market cap since yesterday, so that makes up for about a third of this recovery just by itself. Bitcoin dominance continues to be around 52% at 52.6, significantly lower than the 57 we hit a couple of weeks ago, but still over 50%. Because in the long run, we are still in a bear market. We are still down significantly from the beginning of the year, and we don't expect Bitcoin to fall in dominance significantly until we have reached a proper bull market where prices are up at least 50% across the board over now. But in general, short term, it is looking very positive right now, and it's another beautiful, beautiful day for XRP. We are of course waiting any day now for news of XRP being turned on, and that should mean significant movement in the XRP space, significant movement up. Because that would mean the trading volume of XRP just absolutely exploding. It is unsure how much of that we would instantly be seeing in these websites, but we would have the knowledge of that happening, because yeah, every time XRP through XRP is used for an international monetary transfer, say you're sending money from Mexico to the United States. In Mexico, you have to buy the amount of XRP corresponding to the amount of pesos you want to send, and then in the US, it is instantly being sold again for dollars. So say you are sending $2 million worth. That registers as a purchase in Mexico and then instantly after a purchase in America. So that is $4 million worth of volume already, just from that one transfer. And that means the moment XRP is being turned on, the volume of XRP will just skyrocket. The only question is how much of it we will see, because these tracking methods being used by websites like CoinMarketCap, they of course only report the volume that they're getting from the exchanges that they have listed. So if anything is not going through an exchange, or is not going through an exchange that is currently being taken into account, we might not see the volume go up visibly. But after the news is out that XRP has been turned on, we will have the knowledge that this is happening. So I think there's a very good chance we will see XRP once again in number 2 spot. In the very short term, we might see it in the next couple hours if this movement continues. We see here Ethereum up less than 1%, XRP almost 16%. If this continues for a couple hours, XRP will overtake Ethereum. But also in the mid-term, once XRP is turned on, logically XRP should at least be securely in the number 2 spot then. But now let's have a look at some articles. As always, these will all be in the description. And I keep forgetting to say, if you want more videos like this, do subscribe. It makes me happy. And I have an email in the description if you want to ask me any questions that I might be using in a question and answer video in the near future. Send the mails there. I haven't been able to keep up with all the comments on my videos, but I'm trying to be a lot better with emails. Keep in mind, whatever you email me might be shown in a video, so only stuff you're fine with other people seeing. But yeah, send me emails. I want to make a question and answer video. I have like 5 or 6 good questions right now. I would like to get to about 10 and then I'm going to make a video. Anyway, let's start with the articles. Number 1, a look at the markets. Ripple's XRP returning above 50 cents and again leading the crypto market recovery. I'm always including articles like this because I don't want to be the only person saying something. I want to always show that at least someone else in the crypto world is sharing my opinions in these things. And here the thing is that XRP is the thing leading the market recovery. Almost a week ago, Ethereum World News reported on XRP's stellar performance. I don't think that's supposed to be a pun. Taking Ethereum's place by market cap for a day. However, Ethereum is well cemented to be the second in lead behind Bitcoin. Following its massive 70% increase in 24 hours, the XRP US dollar pair slowed down its momentum as sellers jumped in to harvest the gains. Now this of course is always to be expected. Whenever you see a token shoot up a ridiculous amount in a short time, it usually loses about 30% or so of those gains instantly from just a bunch of people selling off and trying to get the profits. Yesterday, most leading coins were experiencing double-digit dumps with the likes of EOS, ADA, XLM, and XRP. Following the violent sell-off that took place beginning of September throughout the complete market, that sentence doesn't... Okay. XRP was the first to make major steps upwards against the US dollar toward the road of recovery. Now returning to the present, the pair XRP US dollar is changing hands at roughly 0.52 cents dollars, while battling to stay above 50 cents as it was able with today's tradings to recover most losses. Has increased... What the... Oh my god, they really need to hire an editor. Has increased 14% in the LUT 24 hours, being the only in double-digit gains in the top 50 list. What the hell is this? Seriously, guys, read through your articles before you post them. This... Oh my god. Anyway, let's pay attention to the content of the article and not to its presentation. In a recent tweet, as mentioned in the previous blog post, Justin Sun would give the recent surge of XRP in the markets to PNC Bank, recognizing Ripple's protocol. And PNC Bank, of course, one of the top 10 banks in the US, which is working with Ripple now. He also added that it was a sign that financial institutions will embrace blockchain. Here is his tweet. XRP search shows PNC Bank's recognition of the Ripple protocol. With Bill Clinton keynoting Swell 2018, blockchain is going mainstream. As Ripple's Greater China Chief Representative from 2014 to 2016 and a Ripple shareholder, I am confident financial institutions will adopt blockchain. So here we have a perspective. Now, of course, he is deeply involved with Ripple, the company, and he is a shareholder in it. Important to note here the distinction between the XRP token and Ripple as a company. But always good to see outlooks like this, to see large influential people in the crypto world see what is going on here and react positively to it. I think Bill Clinton keynoting Swell 2018 is also a good point, though whenever former politicians have speeches like this, you do have to keep in mind, while this gives coins and tech projects a lot of prestige, but a lot of former politicians will speak pretty much anywhere as long as you pay them enough. They usually have a very high speaking fee, but if you pay that fee, and as long as you're not associated with like a hate group or something, they will speak anywhere. So I think we need to be careful in how we react to Bill Clinton being the keynote speaker, because we know Ripple has a lot of money behind them. They have billions. They can afford to pay a former US president a couple $100,000 or $1 million to speak at their conference. So while I do think generally this is good news and will reflect well on Ripple, I think we have to keep in mind this doesn't necessarily say anything about Clinton's opinion about them. He's almost certainly a paid speaker, and so don't get your hopes up too much about Clinton keynoting their conference. Back to the article. Concluded by one of our authors in his piece, XRP search volume spikes, brand distancing from Ripple. Remember I talked about this yesterday in my video. Alongside its 100% value increase in the last days, XRP has continued to distance itself from the original creating company Ripple, with the keyword XRP reaching double the search volume in Google Trends tool. Melissa Lee, CNBC Fast Money's host, queried Novogratz on his opinion about the aforementioned price surge, asking the well-established figure to try to explain the current state of XRP. And here's his quote: "They're building a great business. Full disclosure, we're a 1% owner in Ripple, the company, not the coin. They have a good story. When something jumps 3 times, I don't understand it. Maybe it's a short squeeze to a degree, as I'm sure some people were short, but there were likely new buyers." So here we see someone who is heavily invested in Ripple, also not quite sure why that price jump happened. I think if we're trying to find any one reason, we're gonna come up short. There are definitely a lot of contributing factors, but I've been trying to figure out why exactly it happened for days. I've been reading articles, I've had people comment at me in the comments, bringing up good points, but I don't think any one of them can completely explain the XRP price movements in the last couple days. My explanation right now is that it's general market sentiment and people who previously were not invested in XRP, slowly but surely realizing the potential the token has, and with the knowledge that XRapid is being turned on soon, realizing there might not be a lot of time to buy at the current price. I think it's just a lot of factors coming together and changing general sentiment around XRP. I've also noticed while XRP was going up, usually anytime I talk about XRP or Ripple on this channel, I get a lot of, they're not hate comments, but they're comments ridiculing anyone involved with Ripple or XRP, anyone invested in them. Those completely stopped for a couple days, not one. And the moment the price had fallen a bit, those were back. So I think there's a lot of this just reflects general sentiment around XRP. People realizing that the token has a great future ahead, and as they always say, fear of missing out, trying to get in while they still can. Who knows how long it will remain under $1. So I think that is all coming to a head. Next up, Coinbase is changing how they are listing coins in a pretty big move to add a lot of assets. This article from CoinDesk: Coinbase gears up for biggest ever expansion of crypto asset listings. Relatively long article, not gonna read the whole thing. Make sure if you're interested to read it, the link is of course in the description. Let's read the beginning here together. Coinbase has revamped its policy for listing new cryptocurrencies, replacing an ad hoc process with one the startup hopes will rapidly expand the range of assets traded on its exchange. Announced Tuesday, the new system allows almost anyone to submit a cryptocurrency through an online form for evaluation under the company's digital asset framework. Those that meet the criteria might be listed, although not necessarily available right away to all Coinbase customers. That's because listings will be added on a jurisdiction-by-jurisdiction basis, rather than supporting all assets globally as Coinbase has done up until now. As a result, some coins won't be available for Coinbase customers to trade in places where local regulations either expressly forbid them or are unclear about their legality. It's not unlike Netflix streaming certain movies in one country but not another for copyright reasons. Previously, there was no formal mechanism to request a listing, and some organizations would reportedly lobby Coinbase to support their assets. As such, the change represents a welcome mat of sorts to crypto development teams from a company whose mainstream popularity potentially offers unparalleled exposure. We are now actively reaching out to asset developers with this, the Coinbase CTO told CoinDesk. Referring to the creators of the first two digital currencies the company listed, Bitcoin and Ethereum, he added, Satoshi and Vitalik were not Coinbase customers, but all future and current asset creators and developers are, so it's like we're becoming a two-sided marketplace. In this marketplace, Coinbase will charge an application fee and an additional fee to list approved assets. He would not say how much they will be, but said they wouldn't be prohibitive. Further, the application fee is only meant to deter spam, he said, and the listing fee will cover the cost of due diligence. We do not want that to be a burden that deters people from listing new assets with us, he said. In the meantime, he confirmed Coinbase is still evaluating cryptocurrencies such as ADA, Lumens and Zcash, which may be rolled out globally or selectively depending on specific regulatory requirements. Yet aside from regulatory and technical considerations, the main listing criterion for Coinbase is market demand. We want to make sure that our customers are there, he said. The three big questions are: A, is it legally compliant? B, is it technically secure and innovative? And D, do our customers want it? Now I'm going to stop reading here. I think this is potentially a step in a good direction, but it raises some questions. And it might create a worrisome situation where Coinbase could be overrun by complete shitcoins, by whichever new token looks even the slightest bit promising. I'm worried that Coinbase will become one of those platforms that has 100+ coins on them and that most of them won't be there 5 years later. But what irks me about this is that they're so willing to just have anyone on the platform now, it looks like. And they're talking a big game about market demand and they care about what their customers want. Where's XRP? Where is XRP? Huh? Where is it? That is, that has been the question for such a long time. It's clearly the thing that everybody wants on there. And they've been holding out, and they've been making up ridiculous reasons for why they're not putting it on there. And it's just ridiculous. They're talking about regulation and all that stuff. And there are various other US-based exchanges that have no issues at all listing XRP. What is the problem? Seriously. And now with them opening the floodgates for a ton of nothing tokens. Because if this was directed at the top 15 or top 20 tokens, it wouldn't be going through an application that you fill out yourself, they would just be adding them. This is meant for really small tokens that no one has ever heard about, that they want to put on their platform. And they're clearly aiming to have dozens and dozens of new tokens on there. And it's just a bit ridiculous when so many of the top 10 tokens, most notably the number 3, briefly number 2 a couple days ago, testing number 2 again, not being on there, that's a bit ridiculous. And at this point it's just insulting to XRP, and there's some kind of personal issue going on there. It is absolutely clear. And come on people, come on. Anyway, I have a few more smaller news items that I want to end this. Well, it's not really an episode, I guess it's a video that I want to end this video with. And those are generally good news. Let's take a look here. Over 75 new banks, JP Morgan expands blockchain payments trial. Now, JP Morgan, of course, is very interested in blockchain technology, has a ton, and I really mean a ton of, oh my god, I can't think of the English word right now. Patents, has a ton of patents. And let's look at what they're doing right now. A major blockchain payments trial launched by JP Morgan, Australia's ANZ, and the Royal Bank of Canada has just gained over 75 new banks as participants. As reported by CoinDesk, the 3 banks set up the project in October 2017, aiming to slash both the time and costs required for interbank payments using traditional methods. Called the Interbank Information Network, the platform is built on Quorum, the Ethereum-based blockchain network developed by JP Morgan, and possibly to be spun off in its own enterprise. Now, according to a report from the FT, the Financial Times, on Tuesday, a large group of major banks, including Societe Generale and Santander, has joined the trial in response to the rising number of rival payments offerings coming to market. Jason Goldberg, banks analyst at JP Morgan, told the Financial Times that payments is an area in which banks are most threatened by non-bank competition, adding blockchain is a way to keep more of their business in-house. Now keep this in mind. A banks analyst at JP Morgan just outright saying that payments is an area where banks are threatened by non-bank competition. Anyone willing to say this on the record from an institution as big in the traditional financial world as JP Morgan, that should be news by itself. In particular, the trial is aimed to address payments that contain errors or get held up for compliance reasons, problems that can take weeks to solve with multiple banks being involved across the payment chain. You know, if you just used Ripple's technology, none of this would be an issue. The effort will now see the banks transact payments to the value of around $14,500 per day over IIN, although that number is expected to rapidly expand as more new members join the project going forward. Now, this is of course a trial, which explains the low volume per day. JP Morgan also plans to add fiat currencies other than US dollar to the system eventually, the Financial Times adds. Now, aside from JP Morgan getting more into blockchain, this is something we've seen for a while now. They've been heavily invested in blockchain technology, in research, in testing out software, in testing out new projects for a while. I think the big thing here is just an analyst at JP Morgan just outright saying banks are threatened by non-bank competition, and that they're trying hard to keep some of that in-house. Now, of course, to be able to permanently keep it in-house, their technology will need to be at least as good as the major tokens that are being developed for billions of dollars, such as XRP, such as what is being done with EOS and Stellar and Ethereum. So we'll see if they can produce a product that is just as good or better. If not, my bet is still on Ripple's XRP, or at least on their X-Current technology, but more likely their X-Rapid, overtaking a lot of the financial payments market, especially the international transfer market in the near future. Next up, Walmart also using blockchain. This is not as relevant to crypto as it is to blockchain, but I always like seeing large corporations adopt any type of blockchain or crypto technology for anything. Now, this is longer than we need to read. Let's just read the first couple paragraphs. Walmart plans to sell leafy greens that are tracked using blockchain technology within the next year. In a press release published Monday, the world's largest retailer, both by revenue and by employee count, announced that it told its suppliers for leafy green produce to integrate a blockchain-based trading system built in collaboration with IBM by September 2019. According to the letter sent to suppliers, any company working with Walmart must work with the IBM Food Trust Network to create end-to-end traceability in 2 phases. The blockchain will make it easier for Walmart to source any food items quickly, with the release noting that tracing such items at present is an almost insurmountable challenge. Now, this, you might wonder, why do we care about this? This isn't any of the major crypto tokens, this isn't any of the major blockchains. We care about this because Walmart is one of the largest companies in the world. It's the biggest retailer on the planet. And with that come just a huge number of people working for them. And all of them will now have to work with blockchain technology. This just means more and more people getting used to blockchain being part of their work life, being part of everyday life. And the more this happens, the closer we are to mainstream adoption of crypto technologies and, in the end, crypto tokens, including the ones we are all invested in. And now let's end this video with some relatively big news. Bakkt announces its first Bitcoin futures contract. Now, Bakkt, of course, huge news, a Wall Street firm involved with major corporations, but let's read this article, it's not too long. In a major Twitter announcement, the team at the highly anticipated Wall Street firm of Bakkt informed the crypto and investing community of its first physically settled Bitcoin futures contract. In a tweet, the team at Bakkt announced the following, and this is their tweet. Our first contracts will be physically delivered Bitcoin futures contracts versus fiat currencies, including US dollar, British pound, and euro. For example, buying $1 Bitcoin futures contract will result in daily delivery of 1 Bitcoin into the customer's account. In early August this year, the Intercontinental Exchange, the owner of the New York Stock Exchange, partnered with Microsoft, Starbucks, BCG, and others to launch Bakkt. The firm is building an open, seamless global network to enable investors, merchants, and consumers to buy, sell, store, and spend digital assets in a simple, more efficient, and secure manner. This latter fact of securely storing digital assets has been put forth as one of the reasons the SEC might approve a Bitcoin ETF in the near future. Backed by ICE, Bakkt solves the problem of custody services for large-scale institutional investors. Lack of a major exchange providing custody services has been put forth as a reason the SEC might be delaying the approval of a Bitcoin-backed ETF. CNBC's Brian Kelly expressed this fact when he stated the following, and this is his quote, "This is huge news. I think the market is completely underappreciated, so let us talk about why Bakkt is the biggest news of the year for Bitcoin. It paves the way for a Bitcoin ETF. Last week I stood here and said, you know what, I don't think the Bitcoin ETF will get approved. And guess what? The Winklevoss ETF got rejected. Why? Because there was not a US regulated exchange and there wasn't US regulated custody." Now, Bakkt, of course, would be representing a US regulated exchange with US regulated custody. That is why it is such big news and why we're just waiting for it to come on the market. With the launch of Bakkt scheduled for November, it is only natural that many crypto analysts continue to predict that there might be a Bitcoin breakout leading up to the launch and after the fact. Now, this is one of the reasons I think we are in for greatness in the rest of 2018. We know within the next month or so, so likely sometime in October, X-Rapid will go live, which might push XRP up significantly and might lift the rest of the markets along with it. And then in November, Bakkt is scheduled to launch, which might do the same for Bitcoin, which once again would drag the entire markets along. We might finally be in it for the long-awaited proper return of a bull market. We've had to wait significantly longer before in 2012, 2014. So I always say I'm slightly disappointed when the markets go down for a day, but I don't. It doesn't sadden me. It doesn't make me worried about my investment because I'm in it for the long run, and I think we all should be. I think if you're in it for the short run, if you're just looking for quick profits, you're in it for the wrong reasons, and you are failing to see the real potential here. But I'm in it for the long run, and I think late 2018 is looking potentially spectacular. I am ready. I am so ready. I hope you are too. And this is where I'm gonna end this video. It's gotten pretty long. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. I'm trying to get them out daily. I've been more or less on track with that. I've skipped like one day every now and then. All the links to the articles are in the description, as well as my social media links and ways to support the channel. Do send me your questions by email. The address is thegermaninvestor@protonmail.com. It is also in the description. Like I said, I'm collecting questions to make a little question and answer video in a bit. Because I just figured it was fun, and I want to get around to your questions. But when something is in the comments to my videos, there's just too much. Some of my videos have over 200 comments now, and I just can't keep track of all of that. So make sure to email me, and thanks so much for watching. I will be back with another video either later today or tomorrow. See you guys then.